If you're here just for the Walker interview, skip ahead 13 minutes and 50 seconds from this point. But if you want to hear me and him break down The Lost Hero Chapter 3 while I pretend to not realize he's Percy Jackson, stick around. What's good? Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Newest Olympian. My name is Mike Schubert. I'm the titular Newest Olympian. I'm a grown man who never read the Percy Jackson books as a kid. I read them as an adult to determine if society has been sleeping on the series. I said yes, and now I'm seeing if society has been sleeping on the Heroes of Olympus series, and I'm joined today by a special guest. You know, I'm never on this journey alone, and I'm joined today by someone who a lot of fans of the podcast, a lot of listeners reached out saying that I should have this person on the podcast. Seems like, from everything I could gather, they're just a huge Percy Jackson and Heroes of Olympus fan. It's Walker Scobell. Walker, how's it going?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited to continue covering this book because I'm 3 chapters into The Lost Hero, and with all the cliffhangers, I just want to keep going. But before we get into it, what's your history with the Heroes of Olympus books? When did you first read them?
Heroes of Olympus. I read that directly after Percy Jackson back in 3rd grade again. I have just started rereading them recently, but that's the last time I read them. I probably finished them over the summer of 3rd grade, so okay. I'm getting back into them, yeah.
How's the reread been? Have you been enjoying it?
Yeah, I just started. It's funny that you said that because I just passed that part in the book. That's chapter 3.
Okay, cool. Well, then let's get into chapter 3. And it's called just Piper because what I've learned is we don't get those cute little quirky chapter titles. We just kind of get the name of whoever it is. But it feels like they have replaced Rick, instead of having funky chapter titles, just the opening lines are just bangers every single chapter.
They are.
And this one's no different. The opening line is, after a morning of storm spirits, goat men, and flying boyfriends, Piper should have been losing her mind. Instead, all she felt was dread. And if you're not ready to read the chapter, it's so great. Just let's go.
Every first line of the chapter, every new chapter, is just a perfect summary of the last one. You know what I mean? That's what I realized. It just kind of goes over it in one sentence. Yeah. It's perfect.
It's a perfect summation. If this was a book you ever had to read for school, it would be the perfect thing of it's like the last week on for a TV show. It just wraps it up so perfectly. So the next line, though, is also great. It says, quote, "It's starting," she thought, just like the dream said. And now I'm kind of, rubbing the hands together of okay, we've got dreams for Piper as well. We haven't seen this dream, so it'll be a later reveal, but there's certainly intrigue of what's the dream? So they are in the flying chariot. That's where we last left our heroes. They were meeting up with Annabeth and Butch, flying back to camp, and the chariot heads east. The wind is ripping through Piper's jacket. And when I was doing the last episode, it mentioned she was wearing a snowboarding jacket. And I was like, what's the difference between a snowboarding jacket and a ski jacket? Someone did let me know. A snowboarding jacket has... Maybe? Yeah, the back is a little bit longer so that snow doesn't get in there. Do you snowboard or do you ski?
I mostly ski, but I do snowboard. I never realized the difference. I've always just skied in snowboarding jackets and snow pants, I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it'd be very particular if someone was going to call out this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's wearing the wrong jacket.
I guess it would. Now that I think about it, there is a different style, I guess. When you think about a skier, it's more like it fits your body more than the snowboarding clothes are more baggy.
Yeah, I have a skiing jacket I use. It's my dad's from the 80s, and I saw it in his closet one day, and I was like, I need this. And yeah, it's a little shorter in the fit, I guess because you're kind of moving your arms and stuff a lot, so maybe that tracks. But no, that's cool. So Piper's still worrying, though, about Jason because she apparently worked very hard to get into a relationship, a romantic relationship with him. And now he doesn't know who she is, so she's all distraught. But then, as the narrator, she says, meanwhile, Leo was being annoying as usual. And I was crushed because 2 chapters in, I would already jump in front of a bullet for Leo. And Piper doesn't like him because he's annoying. Made me a little sad.
Yeah, this is going to sound weird, but I've always felt that Percy and Leo are very not just how they think, but Leo is exactly how I imagined Percy to be. When I was reading that, that's how I imagined Percy to be, from someone else's point of view. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, they got the jokiness there. They're trying to make light of the situation. I am happy, even just from these 3 chapters. I feel like Percy and Jason are very different, and I like that. I wouldn't want it just to feel Diet Percy or a different flavor. He feels very
carbon
different.
Copies, a trio from... Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not exactly a one-to-one, which is pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
But what Leo's doing that's annoying Piper is that he's excitedly asking where they're going. And Annabeth says they're going to Camp Half-Blood. And Piper has this thing where she's confused, thinking it's some sort of dig because people have called her a half-blood for being half Cherokee and half white. But then Jason instinctively clarifies that she means half god, half human. And then Annabeth confirms and gives the example, yeah, my mom's Athena, Butch's mom is Iris. And I thought that was so cool because we know about Iris, but we've never met a child of Iris. So to have the rainbow goddess have a kid at camp, I thought was fascinating.
It is. I like how like in the second series of books, you get to see all like the children of the minor gods that you never get to see, you know?
Yeah, totally. So Leo then tries to make fun of Butch for this, and Butch goes, oh, you got a problem with that? And then Leo immediately backs down, saying rainbows are very macho. And after Annabeth says he's the best equestrian that they have, Leo tries to mutter under his breath, oh, rainbows, ponies. And then Butch hears it and threatens him to throw him out of the chariot. But before that can even continue, the chariot gets struck by lightning and catches fire. They're getting chased by horse versions of the storm spirits. And then Butch just speeds out of there and they're able to kind of like light speed away. And then they get to Camp Half-Blood. It does mention when they're describing Camp Half-Blood to the reader, the ball courts, which has me very excited because I'm very invested in the basketball courts at Camp Half-Blood. I'm a huge basketball fan and player, and they haven't like played basketball yet, but they've mentioned them a couple times. But then like in the map on the Demigod files, it didn't show them. So anytime the basketball courts get mentioned, I'm so stoked.
They should they should totally put that somewhere in the show.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool. That'd be really cool to see. We should have it.
That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. Now, when they are coming in, they have to do a crash landing into the water. And thankfully, everything seems to be okay. There are these underwater girls that Piper sees. They have black hair and glowing yellow eyes, and they bring them above the surface. And the campers then blow dry them with a bronze leaf blower, which I think is so funny to have like celestial bronze sword, celestial bronze shield watch, and also a celestial bronze leaf blower. So about 20 campers gather, including one with a bow. And I'm guessing at this point, this probably Will Solace when I was first reading this, because every other bow and arrow person we know from the first books, unfortunately, didn't make it out of the battles. And he's upset that the chariot is wrecked. Yeah, you know, Lee Fletcher, Michael Yu. And he's surprised that these three have been claimed since they're so old. And then he asks if there's any sign of Percy's whereabouts. And Annabeth says no. And the campers are clearly bothered by this. And Piper thinks, wow, this Percy guy must be such a big deal. And I think it's really interesting to have someone in the Percy Jackson universe who wouldn't know who Percy Jackson is. Like, she could literally be having a conversation with Percy Jackson and have no idea who she's talking to.
It's a weird thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine that happening. But then there's an Asian girl with dark hair and ringlets, and she's got lots of jewelry, nice makeup, so pretty clear she's probably a child of Aphrodite. And she steps forward, gives Jason a little look of intrigue, but then a condescending one towards Leo and Piper. And Piper thinks, all right, classic popular girl, just like we had in Vegas at the Grand Canyon. She doesn't know who it is, but she's thinking, I don't think I'm going to get along with this person. I feel like we're going to be enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Then this girl, who we later learn is named Drew, says that she hopes they're worth the trouble. Leo and Jason take offense. Piper gets worried again, though, because of her dream. And I'm like, can we learn about the dream? Like, what's going on? And then Annabeth says to Drew that all demigods are worth saving. Piper says that they didn't ask for this. Drew asks if her hair always looks like a dead badger, which is a great insult, but feels out of line.
I don't know if that's that's not very nice at all.
No, it seems like pretty negative energy to bring into a complete stranger who just went through a traumatic experience.
What's with this negative energy? Let's get the positive energy in here, man.
Yeah, let's have some good vibes. Now, Piper's ready to fight. Annabeth says no. Piper isn't afraid of Drew, but she can instantly tell, I shouldn't make an enemy out of Annabeth. And I like this instinct from Piper. She knows, like, Annabeth's got to be pretty high in the chopping block. I don't necessarily want to mess with her.
I like that, yeah.
And then Annabeth arranges for each of the trio to get a guide and hopes that they'll be claimed by the evening. And then immediately, like, an aura of light shows up. And I'm thinking, okay, they're about to get claimed. So I wrote down in my notes just some guesses. I feel like Leo, because of all the tinkering, like the pipe cleaner helicopter, I thought he was going to be either Hephaestus or whatever the Roman version is. Mm-hmm. Jason with the lightning bolt stuff figured Zeus or Jupiter. And then Piper, I have no idea because we haven't really seen any sort of power. But at this point, I was guessing like maybe it's a Roman god that doesn't have like a one-to-one Greek to Roman corollary. And then it would be a mystery of like, oh, who is this god or goddess? Did you have any guesses of who you thought before we learned who everyone's parents are when you first read it?
Well, again, obviously, lightning bolt. And I'm gonna be honest, for a solid, maybe until like that moment, maybe it's solid 3 chapters, I thought that Leo was Percy. Just like
Oh.
on a secret quest. Because I was like, okay, if Percy's not in it, then maybe this Leo guy is kind of Percy in disguise. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's fun.
It was not. But
I like the theory, though.
Again, Piper is weird. I always thought that if there always has to be like a smart one in the group. So I thought she was Athena. I thought they're going to do that again. Or I don't know, maybe Hades or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I'll have to see. We really, at this point, there's just like no hint. So I'm like completely in the dark here.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not going to say anything, but I like it.
No, yeah. I mean, like, I appreciate keeping me spoiler free. Leo has a flaming hammer above his head. Jason knows just another instinctive thing that is the symbol of Vulcan. And then Leo says, I don't even like Star Trek. Was this a reference that was lost on you, or did you know enough about Star Trek to know that like Vulcan was a thing from it? Okay, you got it.
I got that, yeah.
I'm always curious. I know you're younger. I was curious with Uncle Rick's, references, especially for books that are older. Like, do they go over kids' heads? Obviously, I didn't read these till I was, in my 30s, so it's a little different. But good to know you knew that. And then you would get the next joke of when Will is his guide, he takes him away and calls him Mr. Spock, which is such a fun little joke.
I love those movies, especially I like the new ones.
Yeah.
I know that's kind of controversial, but I liked them. I liked them a lot.
I remember when I saw it in theater and when they had Sabotage by the Beastie Boys playing during the little chase scene off the cliff, I was like, this is a good pull. I can get behind this.
It was, yeah.
So then Piper notices Annabeth eyeing up Jason, but not in a romantic way, so she's okay with it. So then she asks Jason to hold out his arm. He has a tattoo, which I was surprised because I was like, is he even old enough for a tattoo? But this tattoo looks like a barcode with an eagle over it, an SPQR, which is the Senatus Populesque Romanus, which means the Senate and the people of Rome. I took Latin in high school. Are you taking Latin, or have you took Latin?
I'm taking Spanish. So
okay.
Kind of, that's where it comes from, right?
Right, yeah, it's got the same base language, but, I feel like if you're into Percy Jackson and Heroes of Olympus, maybe a Greek or a Latin course is in your future and you would know all this stuff already. You get great grades on it, yeah.
I was thinking of doing like a Greek class or something like that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, maybe even too easy.
Too easy, exactly. It's naturally, it's there already.
Yeah, maybe you'd be bored. You're like, oh, tell me something I don't know.
The letters just like arrange them. It's weird. Every time I see like a Greek like writing, it just kind of arranges itself in a way that I could read it. I don't know how to explain it.
Really fascinating.
It's strange.
Really strange. Yeah. It'd be strange if like pens started acting weird for you too.
Yeah, that would. It's interesting. Yeah.
But then Annabeth asks Jason if he knows anything, like where he got them. And Jason has my favorite quote from this chapter. I'm getting really tired of saying this, but I don't know. Like, I love how frustrated he is with the situation. It's great. So a lot of campers rush up to see it. And then Annabeth says that it looks like they're burned into his skin. Jason knows that they are, but he doesn't know how he knows that. So Annabeth decides, all right, you got to go see Chiron immediately. The crowd disperses. It's just Annabeth and Piper. Piper asks if Jason's in trouble. And Annabeth says, good question, Piper. Come on, I'll give you a tour. We need to talk. And that's the end of chapter 3. Oh, such a fun little, like, we're at camp, but it's such a short little bite that you're like, I got to see more. I want to know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I wanted to see what Jason isn't the next chapter. It's Piper, right?
Yeah, it's another Piper one. I haven't read it yet, but I feel like it'll be a walking tour between Piper and Annabeth. So I think that would be interesting. Oh, and I'm so sorry. I completely forgot to ask you. I'd asked you your history with the Heroes of Olympus books, but what's your history with the Percy Jackson series?
Well, I've read them maybe 7 times. Okay. I'm a huge Percy Jackson fan. I had a role in the show. It wasn't a huge deal or anything. No, I played Percy Jackson.
Oh, okay. I thought you looked and sounded familiar.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not since filming, but.
You look a little different. No, well, I actually have a bunch of questions prepared in case I forgot to, speak with the person who played Percy. So you mind if I ask you just a few questions while I've got you here?
Let's do it. Yeah.
All right, let's do it. All right, I'm going to start with the lightning round of questions, but obviously since you're Percy, it'll be the lightning thief round of questions. So we'll just have some quick hitters here. What is your favorite creature companion in the main 5 books? Bessie, Blackjack, Rainbow, or Mrs. O'Leary?
So it's definitely between Mrs. O'Leary and Blackjack, for sure.
Yeah.
That's such a difficult question because Blackjack's, they're both cool. I mean, Mr. O'Leary, you can shadow travel.
Pretty tight.
Which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta say Blackjack. Come on.
Okay.
Like, who doesn't want a Pegasus? That's awesome.
It's pretty sweet. And one that, the hey boss, like, it's great.
You could talk to.
Yeah, right. No, it's huge. Okay. What is the best weapon that is not Riptide? Thalia's Aegis, Nico's Stygian Blade, or Grover's Reed Pipes?
I want to say the Reed Pipes, but I don't know. Part of me wants to take Thalia's Shield. That'd be sick.
Yeah.
Aegis.
It is pretty cool.
Is that how you say it? Aegis?
I think it's Aegis. Either that or Aegis. It's kind of hard. I also get tricked up because I play Hades, a video game, and they pronounce things differently in that game sometimes versus like what's traditional. So I think
it's weird.
Yeah, either Aegis or Aegis. But that's a pretty cool one. I'm glad, if Arian is listening, that that your first selection was the Reed
Sorry,
Pipes.
Arian.
Yeah, I'm telling him. I'm going to tell him.
Oh, I'm expecting a call directly after this.
Okay. What is the best non-weapon that is thrown at a bad guy's face between the guacamole grande burrito from the damn snack bar
hairbrush?
Okay, I was going to say the hairbrush. Yeah.
Other than those two?
No, it was going to be between those two, so I'm glad you had hairbrush before I even got there.
I think it's a hairbrush for sure. That it was just such a perfect moment too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough to beat. All right. And then what is the tastiest food trap that Percy falls for? Auntie M's hamburgers, the monster donuts from the Hydra, or Cersei's strawberry milkshake?
I'm going to say Auntie M's just because they hadn't had like any food for so long and they were like starving. And it was just like, I don't know, my mouth waters when I think about like that scene, you know what I mean? Because like they haven't eaten since camp, and all their food is gone. So they're just like, they have no food. And then all of a sudden there's this like fast food place that gives out free cheeseburgers and stuff. So it's like, I would go for that. Or Monster Donuts. I'm actually excited for that.
Yeah.
To do that. That's going to be awesome.
That'll be really cool. I wonder, and I feel like, we'll see what they do for like social media production and promotion, but like, you got to think that there's got to be a partnership with some donut shop, right?
Oh,
like Krispy Kreme, Dunkin', get in the mix.
There's got to be like a Percy Jackson donut collab. That'd be awesome.
It'd be incredible. It'd be fantastic. All right. That was the Lightning Thief round. Thank you. Now I've got just some other fun ones. I feel like a lot of people that I've got to interview over doing this podcast say that you are so similar to Percy. And I think that comes through. But is there anything that you're very different from Percy? Like, is there anything you don't vibe with him? Like you don't like Dr. Pepper, or you don't think trash talk is a good way to approach a conflict?
I don't know anybody that doesn't like Dr. Pepper. What?
Okay.
That's a thing?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you have anything where you're like, Percy loves this, but I'm not feeling it.
I don't know. I don't think that there's something that I don't like about him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, not off the top of my head, but I bet if I really think about it, there's some stuff that maybe we're a little bit different on. But I don't think there's anything that I don't like about him,
Oh, that's good. Look, perfectly cast then.
Exactly.
Now, also with talking with people, I heard there was a day where you all played Mario Kart on the volume. Were you there for that day, and did you play?
I was. We it was the last day, like right before we left set forever. We all got to play Mario Kart on the volume stage, which was like the coolest thing ever. The whole time we were talking about like bringing an Xbox in, because actually this is also cool for all of the scenes in the volume stage, just to see how it all lines up. They would take an Oculus and then they like code it into the Oculus. So you could walk around in the Oculus in like the virtual Met and like see everything seamlessly like flow together and like actually touch what's there.
Whoa.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was super weird. But yeah, I think the whole time we were planning on like bringing an Xbox in there and trying to hook it up and play like Halo or something, but that never happened. We did Mario Kart, which was still awesome.
Yeah. Who was the best and who was the worst?
Out of the three of us, I would say Arian, honestly.
Ooh.
Arian's pretty good at that stuff. Arian like catches on to games quicker than me, I think. But I think like the best overall, this guy named Scott, he was the second AD, coolest guy ever. He was just like amazing in Mario Kart for some reason. We always talk about like Fortnite and like games and stuff and video games. We talked about like Mario Kart a lot, and then we got to play it and he smoked me. So
Nice. So obviously, you're a big fan of the books. I'm assuming you've read the Demigod Files. We don't know if they're going to make a season about it, but if they had to pick one of the three stories from the Demigod Files to make into a filmed version, is there one of the three that you would be the most interested in being a part of?
Can I be 100% honest with you right now?
Yeah.
And I really don't anyone Please don't hate on me. I've read Percy Jackson 7 times, all 7 books, or all 5 books, sorry. I've never read Demigod Files. I don't know. I didn't even know that was like a thing until kind of recently, I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
I always thought it was just like the 5, Percy Jackson 5, like Heroes of Olympus, because I knew that there was like different like mythologies, you know what I mean? Like that Rick wrote about, like Norse and Egyptian. So I know if that was like Percy Jackson or if that was like something else. So I never really got into that. I didn't know that was Percy Jackson until like a couple of years ago.
Okay.
So yeah, I got to get into that. After this rereading of Heroes of Olympus, I'm going to read those.
Yeah, they're good. And it's pretty short and they're fun. And, you know, it's like in between books 4 and 5 kind of. So you'll get some interesting stuff there. So it's a good time. Now, I know on set they had prop like mytho magic cards, but it was just like for props. But did you and anyone else in the cast like try to play with them or like try to make a game out of it? Did you do anything with the cards?
Me and Aryan kind of tried to make our own for that one scene where we're eating at Yancey and we kind of had to like make up what the game was on the spot. So our version of the game at least was we just shuffle our cards and like give out random ones to each other. And then we both put it down at the same time. And then we would decide which mythological creature would win that fight. So yeah, that was our version of the game at least.
That's cool. That's cool. I hope they come out with like a real one with rules and everything. Like I would love to go all the way in it.
I have a lot of cards upstairs. I could get extra printed. Yeah.
Let's do it. It'd be fun. One thing I think is interesting, I feel like when you read a book, you always have like a picture in your head of what that character looks like. And I know some people will say like, oh, once I watched the Harry Potter movies, anytime I read, I can only see Emma Watson as Hermione. Since you are Percy, when you read a story with Percy in it, do you see yourself? Do you see like a different Percy? What's it like having yourself be the visual representation people most associate with the character? That's
a really good question. Honestly, I don't see myself. I see that version of Percy, like the book Percy. And that's kind of how I see, like when I read the book, I just, because that's like, those have been ingrained in my mind, like forever. You know what I mean? So I can't like get it out of my head. But I've had like a lot of like my family members that have read it recently tell me that it's like, when they were reading it, they're like, wait a minute, he has black hair and confused. Because it's weird to think about that. Like some people haven't like read the books before this. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's weird.
Yeah, no, for sure. One thing that I did hear a lot for you on set, you being similar to Percy, you'd like play pranks and stuff. A lot of people said you do the like tap on the shoulder thing. Is there anyone you tricked the best with the tap on the other shoulder maneuver?
So I got my mom, or not my real mom. I did it to my mom, my real mom a lot. But my movie mom, Sally, Virginia, I got her a lot. And I used to do it a lot. So that scene where I'm walking out, it's in the Montauk cabin, like the way beginning. The scene where I'm walking out and I tap her on the shoulder and she turns around. We did that a lot. And then the director, like when I was walking out and we were doing the scene, he's like, why don't you just do that to her for the scene? And then we're like, all right. So it made it in, which is pretty cool. Amazing. It's something that we were doing on set, made it into the show, which is like a cool thought, you know?
That is super cool. My podcast is a show that I would label as a very pro pigeon podcast. I live in New York. We love pigeons here. Me and my wife are big pigeon people, and it comes up on the show a lot. So in episode 1, when there were a bunch of pigeons at the Met, I was super excited. And I talked to James Bobin, the director, a little bit about it, and he was really excited. What was your experience acting around the pigeons? I know they had like a pigeon handler and they were feeding the pigeons. What was it like?
They did. I was a little confused because I thought that pigeons were only in New York, but apparently, I don't know, they can bring them out to Vancouver. I was actually a little bit scared because the first time that they brought them out, or like that I actually saw them, because I don't know why, but I guess I just kind of phased them out of my head. But the first time I saw them was when I do that scene where it was right after I accidentally kill Electo and I'm like waking up and everyone's standing around me. I watched them like release the pigeons in the ground and I had to lay down and I was like, are they going to like try to eat me or something? I didn't know. I mean, after reading book 2, I'm a little bit, nervous of pigeons. I have been.
Yeah. Well, those are demon pigeons. They're a little different. I'm very pro pigeon and
they're all demons.
I hope you can come around on them. What I do love is like they are a ubiquitous bird. Like anywhere you travel, they will be there. And I think that that's cool to have no matter what city you're in. Yeah. Like I've seen them internationally. I've seen them in India. I've seen them in Australia. Like they're all over the globe, which is kind of cool. Like no matter what city you're in. you can find pigeons.
That's so, I thought that they were just like in New York.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're like most famous and known there just because of all the antics of like eating French fries and pizza off the street and stuff, but they're everywhere. So I'm happy to bring you into the fold. My secret agenda, getting you to be more pro pigeon.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
No, happy to share it. So another thing on my podcast, when I was reading the main books, I was convinced that the spy was Juniper. Once she gets introduced in book 4, I was like, who's this? Since when does Grover have a girlfriend? And I was all in thinking she was a spy. When you were reading the books for the first time, who did you think the spy was? Did you nail that it was Selena? What was your spy experience?
I thought it was Annabeth.
Oh,
and I know it's weird.
I've heard it a couple of times.
I don't know. It always felt weird to me. Like Luke and Annabeth. I was like, she was the one that couldn't get over him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I guess it was him that we figured out at the end. But I totally thought that like there was going to be a big betrayal at the end with Annabeth, and she was like, she would betray Percy, and there was this big fight. I wasn't happy when I found out it was Selena, believe me, but I was happier that it wasn't Annabeth.
That's true. Well, that's, I think, what's going to be interesting with the show. We'll have to see how it develops. Based on Annabeth being in that final fight in the season 1 finale, it feels like that Annabeth can't get over Luke sort of crush thing won't be there because right off the bat, she knows what he's all about. So maybe it'll change that dynamic and you won't have to ever, come to grips with your frustrations or your confusions of if she could get over him.
I guess you're right. Yeah. I haven't really thought about that. I still haven't gotten the script for season 2. They told me they're going to send it soon, so I'm pretty excited. But I don't know. There's like there's so many different ways that we could go after finishing a season like that. You know what I mean? Obviously, they're definitely going to stay true to the book 100%. But that'd be interesting. You know what I mean? I feel like there's a lot of changes that can be made in like relationships for the show. You know what I mean? Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think it'll just kind of change the dynamic. I feel like a lot of the Percy Annabeth, I don't know, frustrations or at least some of the tension is that like Annabeth just refuses to believe that Luke could do something so evil, and it takes a little bit, but now she's seen it with her own eyes. So she'll be a little more on board. And I feel like the show's trying to play up more of the like brother-sister thing as opposed to the relationship interest thing. And I think that's probably a smarter way to take it with things like the age gap and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what we could talk about when we were filming, like especially when we were on set all together, like with like Charlie and Leah and stuff. It was just like weird to like look at them both and be like, it was just a weird thought. I'm not gonna lie though, I thought that was like an interesting thing. You know what I mean? For Annabeth to like kind of hold on to her crush, and I don't want to sound weird, but like it just made it so much harder for Percy. I feel like that Annabeth had those feelings for Luke still.
Oh, totally. I think it plays up the rivalry because it's not just I'm mad at this guy for the big reasons that matter, but also like grumble, the girl that I'm interested in has a crush on the guy that I hate. Like it's just an extra level of hatred for Luke.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Now, we talked about basketball a little bit earlier. I do know from Instagram that you follow the Knicks and the Lakers and some other NBA folk. Are you a big NBA guy? Are you a fan of a particular team or player?
I'm not like, again, with like sports, I'm not exactly on like a singular team. Because I mean, I moved around a lot when I was younger.
Right.
So I'm kind of like split between a lot of teams. Right now, though, my football team that I like the most, or like football, this is not basketball.
Sure. Was
the Eagles, because my grandmother's from Philadelphia.
Okay.
And I live like near Philadelphia. So that's a good question, actually. I don't really know why I follow that. I guess because LeBron James. Yeah. I don't know. Space Jam.
Valid. Super valid.
I don't watch a lot of basketball. Basketball's a fun sport to watch, though.
Oh, for sure. I will
admit that. It's cool.
Well, I mean, look, I think you're a pretty down-to-earth guy, but you're Percy Jackson in the Disney Plus show. Like, you might be able to be like, yo, Madison Square Garden. Why don't you give me some free tickets, maybe?
Courtside seats, no big deal.
Yeah, I'm not going to be picky. It can be anywhere along the court, as long as it's courtside, I'll be fine. I'm not going to, make the be sit next to the bench or whatever. As long as I'm on the floor, sure, easy enough.
Yeah, I've never actually been to like a football or basketball game. I mean, other than like school football and basketball games. Like I've never been to a professional one. That'd be cool. I got to go to one soon.
Yeah, no, definitely. I had a bit of like a rivalry with John Steinberg because he's a big Sixers fan and I'm a huge Knicks fan. And he wrote that joke into the series of like the Knicks being in the finals. And the whole thing that he wrote was like the most unbelievable thing of the Percy Jackson series is that the Knicks are good. But now we're all right. So John was saying like if the Knicks and the Sixers play in the playoffs, we'll have to go. So maybe we'll make it a party of three and we'll all, cheer it out. And you can just be the neutral party enjoying basketball while John and I fight each other in the stands.
I'll try to keep you guys away from fighting each other. That's my job.
Thank you. Yes. Percy the Peacemaker Walker is standing between us to make sure we don't duke it out too much. All right. I'll just give you with one final question. This one comes from our editor, Sherry Guo, who had a very serious, thoughtful question I think would be good. She says, quote, if you could put googly eyes on any inanimate object to make it come to life, what object would you pick and what personality would it have?
Whoa, that's whoa.
It's pretty deep. It's pretty deep.
That's deep. Yeah. Can I talk to it?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Dude, wow. That's interesting. So I don't know. I like that question. It's random. In a good way, in a great way.
Mm-hmm.
I guess like my phone, maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
That'd be pretty. I can like talk to my phone, or like, is a dead person an inanimate object?
Oh, we're getting even deeper. I mean, they're certainly not animate. I don't know if object is disrespectful.
If I could do that, I just like put it on someone I know, or like my dog. If I really don't want to say this, like if in the future if one of my dogs dies, I just put a googly eyes on them and just give them the same personality they had. Right.
Keep it along. Go. Look, I can understand, that I think that's a tough thing about pet ownership is that they're only going to last so long. So you can just keep that love going. I think that shows the care. So
exactly.
That's pretty solid. Yeah. No, well, that's a good googly eye answer. Walker, thank you so much for joining. This has been an absolute blast. Normally, this is the part of the podcast where I tell people, give you the opportunity to give a shout out to stuff you've got going on. I feel like there's obvious stuff, but if you want to tell the people where to find you, where can they find you?
Instagram, I guess. I don't know. I guess stay tuned for Percy Jackson season 2.
Yeah, look, should be pretty good. I did really quick, social media. I feel like you've had a bunch of really strange social media things happen to you since getting cast. There's like the fake Walker Twitter thing. There was your TikTok getting disabled. Wasn't someone trying to pretend to be your brother?
Yeah.
What's going on? You and social media, it doesn't feel like you have a good luck situation going on.
Actually, real quickly, thank you for the opportunity to talk about this real quick.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't want to give the person that like hacked my brother's Snapchat account recognition or whatever, but he like tried to DM my brother, or like he added my brother's new account on Snapchat and was like, hey, why are you trying to impersonate me?
Whoa.
And my brother's like, wait a minute, what do you mean, why am I trying to impersonate you? And then he sent a picture of himself and the guy like freaked out. But yeah, that was weird. And also like that fake Twitter thing, I completely forgot about that. There's still like a lot of his posts are up. And so sometimes I just look back through them and I'm like, people really believe this? Like he'd respond to like a post, like fan art or something, and be like, honored. And there was like 2 emojis for the O's and stuff. I was like, really?
I would never do this. I love that that's the thing you're most upset. It's like, impersonate me all you want, but at least do it
like,
right.
I would do. Exactly. Like I wouldn't be mad if it was someone like that was cool impersonating me. I'd be like, keep going, if anything. Please don't do that, by the way, anyone watching. But it's just like, at least get like the personality right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You do a lot of work when you're playing a different character. There was all this stuff with the Adam Project where you were like watching Deadpool over and over again to like get the Ryan Reynolds essence. You read all the Percy Jackson books to know Percy Jackson. The least that someone can do if they're going to pretend to be on Twitter is know that you would never use emojis for O's. Come on.
I've used an emoji maybe 8 times in my whole life.
Oh, okay. I like it. You're more of a straight. It's like the cycle of being cool. I guess like emojis are out of fashion. You're bringing back using actual letters to describe your feelings.
I don't know. Sometimes when I use emojis, I'm just like, what am I doing? Why am I expressing myself through like a little yellow circle? Like, you know what I mean?
I like it.
I'm just gonna like put in parentheses, I feel sad, and parentheses.
I
Just to
love
show.
that. Yeah. No, I like that. Just you can get more in depth with the emotion with actual words as opposed to a face. There's no room for misinterpretation if you say, I am sad. I wish that this had happened instead. I think it's good.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. We're on the same page.
Yeah, I like it. Well, Walker, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Listeners, thank you all for listening. And watchers, thank you for watching. And until you and I cross paths again, let's hope season 2 premiere maybe? Yeah, maybe on a cruise ship, on a park cruise ship. Could be pretty good.
That's a good idea. And I'll fly in like Tom Cruise on a helicopter.
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
You don't need a helicopter license to fly one. That's just a joke.
Yeah, you'll be fine. But yeah, until we cross paths again, I'll Percy you later.
Percy you later. Thank you so much for having me.
What a fun chat. What a fun person. Thanks to Walker for taking the time. Thanks to everyone who made this possible. And thanks to you for listening to this episode, especially if you are new. And if you are new, hello, I'm Mike. It's nice to meet you. Thank you for popping in. And if you want to hear other stuff on this podcast feed, there's a whole bunch of good stuff. Next week, we've got an interview with Charlie Bushnell, who played Luke. I've previously done interviews with a bunch of other people involved in production of the TV show, such as cast members like Dior Goodjohn and Azriel Dahlman, who plays Baby Percy, as well as people involved in the production of Rick's books like Stephanie Lurie, who's his editor. And then, of course, there's all of the episodes where I made my way through the series for the very first time. As stated in the beginning portion of this episode, I never read the Percy Jackson books as a kid, so this podcast documents me making my way through the series for the very first time, and every guest that joins me is a big Percy Jackson fan, and I've made my way through all of the main 5 Percy Jackson books and some of the spin-off stuff, and I did the movies and the musical, and now we're doing the Heroes of Olympus books, and it's a fun time. This episode kind of encapsulates the 2 types of episodes of the Newest Olympian you will hear, whether that is book discussion stuff or interview discussion stuff, and you can listen to those episodes wherever you are listening to this: Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, any other podcasting app. We're all over the internet. We're on our website, thenewestolympian.com. Wherever you want to find us, you can probably find us, as long as that's a place where podcasts are normally available. But thank you all so much for listening. And now what I'm going to be doing here is what I normally do in the middle of the episodes, but I didn't want to break up this fun interview chat. So I will just be talking about some updates that are going on with the podcast right now. First off, if you enjoyed listening to this episode and you wanted to see this episode, you can go to the Newest Olympian's YouTube account. I made a very well-crafted video version of this episode. Kelly made some incredible backgrounds. I did a lot of video editing. I used Final Cut Pro and all these other things from my video making days. I unearthed my skills and I put a lot of effort into making the video look really nice. So you can check that out on the TNO YouTube account. Just search for the Newest Olympian or go to youtube.com/@newestolympian. But there's a whole video version of this, and it was fun, especially when you get to see Walker's facial reactions to some of the questions, and just it's a good time. I think there's a good video component to this particular episode, so you can check that out on the YouTube account. Also, we've got a new crop of TNO live shows coming to a city near you if you live in the next 5 cities that I am about to announce. July 3rd, I'll be in Seattle, Washington. July 5th through 7th, I will be in Portland, Oregon for LeakyCon. One of the days we'll have a TNO live show, and I'll be doing stuff all 3 days. So no matter what, you will be able to see me doing some stuff there. July 8th, I'll be in Vancouver, British Columbia. And then August 24th, I'll be in Nashville, Tennessee. And August 25th, I will be in Atlanta, Georgia. You can get tickets to all of those at thenewestolympian.com/live. Aside from that, reminder that we've got TNO merch available at thenewestolympian.com/merch. That includes the new Heroes of Olympus stickers. That includes the video version of our last episode. That includes a whole bunch of other goodies like Camp Regular Person shirts and the TNO beads. And it also includes the TNO coffee. That's right, we've got TNO coffee. It is called Anna Clues Roast. Pre-sales are open right now, and they are working on roasting the coffee. I got an update from the local small business that they are roasting the coffee, which is pretty cool. That all lives at thenewestolympian.com/merch. Now, if you head on over to thenewestolympian.com/Patreon, you can get access to a whole bunch of bonus content, whether that be ad-free episodes, early release episodes, bonus episodes, physical merchandise like Percy Later stickers and Percy Later pins. That's the only place you can get Percy Later merch is over at thenewestolympian.com/Patreon. But I want to give a shout out to the folks who have joined our Patreon most recently. So shout out to our newest God tier patrons, Justin S., Christian A. Seward, Deadly Kitten, and Joanne Wondra. And shout out to our newest demigod tier patrons, Stengord, Kaylee Essex, Lauren Johnson, Kang the Kang, Luis, Jake Fleming, and more espresso, less depresso. And shout out to Percy Jackson, who upgraded to the producer level status. Thank you all so much for your support. May Daedalus bless you that you don't have any laptop troubles. Daedalus's laptop is a character in the books? ? And I'm just assuming Daedalus, even though he's not a god, is in charge of laptop-based blessings. If you're all caught up on the News Olympian and you're looking for a new podcast to listen to, I make a whole bunch of podcasts. I'm an independent podcast boy. I think you would enjoy the podcasts that I make. One of the ones I think you would really enjoy is Potterless. Potterless is very similar in structure to the News Olympian, but it's about the Harry Potter books. It's the podcast that I made before the News Olympian, and it documents my journey through the Harry Potter books for the very first time, because I also did not read those as a kid, and that was a fun time. It was me figuring out how to become a podcaster along the way, so you'll notice me do things a little bit differently, but then eventually get to the point where the episodes sound like this. But it's fun and goofy, and if you're looking for something a little less clean cut and a little more expletive laden, check out Potterless. It's a good time. I made my way through all the books and the movies and the bad play and fan-made stuff. It was a good time. So that's Potterless. You can listen to wherever you get your podcasts or by going to our website, potterlesspodcast.com. I got a new episode coming out at the end of the month. Now, unless you're listening on Patreon, where you get access to ad-free episodes, you will be hearing words from sponsors who make it feasible for me to be a full-time podcaster. Some of those ads will be read by me and others of them won't be. The ones that aren't read by me are inserted locally. So if you live in Pennsylvania, don't be surprised if you hear an ad for the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know why an NFL team would be sponsoring my podcast when I really don't like football, but who's to say? Maybe they found out Walker talked about him in this episode. But once those ads are complete, we will get into the rest of this episode of the News Olympian, which will be the outro, the end credits, ASMR mic, and a hype up about what episode is coming to the feed next week. Hi, thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Newest Olympian. This podcast is created, hosted, and produced by me, Mike Schubert. I also run the social media and the website. Our editor is Sherry Guo. The music is by Bettina Campamanes and Brandon Krugel, and the art is by Jessica E. Boyd. If you enjoy the show and you can't get enough, you can head on over to thenewestolympian.com/Patreon, and you can get access to a whole bunch of bonus content. You can also find us on social media. We're at Newest Olympian on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and there's a subreddit, reddit.com/r/thenewestolympian. If you want to support the show with some TNO merch, you can go to thenewestolympian.com/merch. And if you want to see if we've got a live show coming to a city near you, head on over to thenewestolympian.com/live. I mentioned that Patreon earlier. Let's give a shout out to our producer level patrons: Kelsey Gillespie, The Damn Steam Nuggets, Vicky Garcia, Veronica Bartova, Frida Vikstrom, Megan Moon, Craig McRoberts, Taylor Payne, Sabrina Balsiger, Boney Pony, Polly Burge, Nikki Harris, Tatiana Schmidt, Sandra Rose, Josh Sayer, Josh Wilkie, Abby Ryan, Ashton Gabrielson, Margot Redhouse, Sam Sambribi, Riley Kiddes, Mrs. O'Leary, Milo Kim, Sandkopf, Julia Kendall, Rickey, John Drielsma, Rayla Matthews, Luna Kadoon, Sky Mallory, Per Sassabeth, Aiden Parziani, Biggest Tyson Fan, King Bastion, One Damn Distraction Coming Up, Ginger Spurs Boy, A Cup of Solace, Meg Roy, Olivia Krinicki, Bradamus Prime, Kibo Guy, Skylar Sisters, Demigod Nurse, Zachary Hamilton, Scott Sheldon, Sophie, Natanya Page, Ann M. Thayer Cohen, Finley McLeod, Sarah Elise Arnson, Bella, Hayden Neal, and Percy Jackson. If you want to support the show in a non-monetary way, word of mouth helps the podcast so much. Whether you reach out to someone directly and say, hey, there's this podcast called The News Olympian. It's about Percy Jackson. I think you would really like it. Whether that person is a Percy Jackson superfan or someone you're trying to convince to get into the books. You can also just talk about the show on social media. That helps. You could even just leave a rating and review on whatever podcasting app you're using. All of these things really help. I appreciate everyone who has already done so, and I appreciate anyone who will do so in the future. But I'm just so thankful that you tuned into this episode, and I hope you tuned into our next episode, which will be a bonus episode. Instead of taking a week off, we're posting an interview that I did with Charlie Bushnell, who played Luke in the series. But until then, I'll see you later. Hey everyone, how's it going? It's me, ASMR Mike. So I'm currently wearing sweatpants as I record this, and there are two different pockets that have zippers. So for this ASMR Mike segment, I will be zipping the two different zippers on my sweatpants. I'm going to stand up so that the zippers are closer to the microphone. So first, here's the zipper on the back pocket. And then here's the zipper on the side pocket. These are athletic sweatpants, so it's a long zipper that can kind of hold your phone in place. So this is going to be a longer zip. Thank you so much for listening. And if this is your first episode, ASMR Mike is a whole thing that I had to do to make the audio files for old episodes not be too short. And then I kept doing it even after I figured out how to fix that problem. Thank you so much for listening.